Well, the Easter solstice is here, and with it those cosmic cyclical influences that have brought about enactment of the great Easter story. So it's wondered whether we can recognize the parallels in our life that are brought about by these energies depicted in that great, great story, the 40 days in the wilderness, the crucifixion, the entombment, and the resurrection. But we continued to explore the nature of emptiness and to answer those two unanswered questions as to what is it that occurs when stillness and movement meet, and what is our relationship with life now. There's an old story, an old Sufi story, about a man called Mallick Dinar. Now, Mallick Dinar had studied the books. He'd been to teachers, and he'd gone about the rituals that were required of the faith of the day. And it came to a moment in his life where, even though he had learned from his philosophical endeavors that the great master was to be found within mankind, he was compelled to go on a quest to find the master. So, putting a few dates into his pocket, he set out on the road to he knew not where. But he hadn't gone too far down the road when an old dervish walked up beside him, and without any greetings between them, they went step for step along the road a ways, until finally the old dervish asked Mallick Dinar, "Who are you and where are you going?" And Mallick Dinar answered, "I'm Mallick and I'm seeking the great teacher." "Oh," said the dervish, "I'll walk with you a while." Then Mallick Dinar asked the old dervish, "Well, can you help me find the master?" And in the enigmatic way of dervishes, the dervish said, "Can I help you? Can you help me?" It's said that the great teacher is to be found within, and can be found by the experiences of life. And that was all he said. But they walked on down the road until they came to a great tree. And being the heat of the day, they decided to sit under its shade. But while they were sitting under the tree, the dervish said to Mallick Dinar, "The tree is telling me that it's in pain, that there is something blocking the life juices that rise to its branches to allow its fruit to blossom. It's asking us to release this for it." "Oh," said Mallick Dinar, "we don't have time for that. I'm on a quest to find the great master." So the dervish remained silent, and they walked down the road apace. And again, as evening came down and they were sitting around a little fire that they'd built, the dervish said, "You know, when we were under that tree, I had the distinct sense of honey." "Oh," "Honey," said Mallick Dinar. "Oh, if we had honey, we'd have money for our journey. Let's go back." So they went back to the tree, and when they got there, there were a group of travellers who had tapped the tree and were dancing. "We're rich, we're rich, we're rich, we have honey, the honey is flowing, we're going to take this to market, we can become merchants." Well, Mallick Dinar was not very happy, but they went on their way silently, and the dervish made no remarks about this until they came to a little outcrop. And as they were passing the outcrop, the old dervish said, "Can you hear that sound of humming?" And indeed, Mallick Dinar did hear this sound. And the old dervish said, "It's an army of ants. They're building a nest under the ground, but they've found a blockage that they can't get through. So they're in distress. Perhaps we can help them to move this impediment so that they're free to go about their business." "Oh," said Mallick Dinar, we don't have any time for that kind of thing. Let's get on our way. Let's get on our way." So again, without comment, the old dervish and Mallick Dinar went off down the road until they came again to evening time, where they wanted to make their fire, and Mallick Dinar found that his knife was missing, that knife that he cut the little twigs and branches. "Oh," he said, "maybe I left it back where the outcrop was." So they made their way back to the little outcrop, and there were a group of men who were overjoyed. They were covered in dirt and mud, but beside them was a pile of gold coins. And they said, "Oh, an old dervish appeared before us and said if you dig here, you might find that they are not stones that you find, but gold." And yes, we found gold. And then one of the travellers looked and he said, "In fact, you look very much like the old dervish who spoke to us." "Oh," said the dervish, "all dervishes really look somewhat alike." And so they left, Mallick Dinar inside feeling a great deal of sorrow about this. But down the road a pace, they came to a river that they had to cross, and it was evening time again, and the ferry boat was far away, making what was really his last journey of the day. But out of the great flowing river came a large fish, gulping for air. And the dervish says, "The fish is in trouble. It has something caught in its throat that is disallowing it from diving deep into the depths of the water. It wants us to give it a certain herb that will allow it to cough up what is causing the blockage." No, Mallick Dinar said, "Here's the ferry boat, here's the ferry boat, here." And he pushed the dervish into the ferry boat, and they crossed. And fortunately, there was a little tea house on the other side that they were able to rest in for the night. But the next morning, before they embarked on their journey, the ferry boat man came taking the dervish's hand, kissing it and saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm a rich man. I never have to tow my ferry boat across the river again." He said, "I didn't want to make that last journey across to pick you up, but when I saw your garb, I thought that I would accrue good benefits by doing so. And after I rowed myself back, when I got there, there was a big fish that had thrown itself out of the water, trying to eat a herb by the side. And so I picked the herb and gave it to the fish, and it coughed up this, an immaculate, beautiful diamond. I'm rich, thank you. He bowed to the dervish. Well, of course, Mallick Dinar was quite incensed by this time, and he turned to the dervish and he said, "You knew all along about these things. Why didn't you tell me?" And the dervish looked at him and quietly said, "Perhaps you have now learned what it is to listen, to be still, you might say. And through that, the experiences of life bring to you the riches, not just of wisdom, but of all else." And then the dervish walked off, and very soon Mallick Dinar saw him surrounded by a group of travelers, and they're participating in an animated philosophical discussion. The end of the story is encouraging, because Mallick Dinar became one of the great Sufi teachers of the age. When we go back to this saying that was so much quoted for so long, however long ago, take all perceptions from the sensual, the aesthetic, and the transcendental levels of mind, and bring them to the subtle level of body, speech, and mind. The body of appearances, the speech of vibration, and the mind of awareness, from where they flow down the columns at the side of the spine, positive and negative, subjective and objective, to rise up the central column of pure mind as our thoughts and our deeds. Stillness and movement. Listening, receptivity, and the experiences of life. What is it that arises from us in this place of stillness, listening, receptivity? When meetings take place, life enters in, experiences arise. What is it now for us that rises up on all levels? Well-being, harmony, wealth, peace, abundance. And what do we interpret these as now? What is peace for you? What is abundance for you? What is wisdom for you? over all of these years, as was said the other day, the purpose of these stories is to dismantle the conditioned thinking of what we think wisdom is, mastership is, teachers are, wealth is, compassion is, pity is, happiness is, so that we have the possibility of being in that state when we experience it for ourselves. In this, we not only find the nature of emptiness, we become that emptiness. Thank you, thank you.